Welcome back, everybody, to the HGC Eastern Clash, where currently BlossoM is 2 maps behind Tempest. Tempest currently 1 map away from victory and moving on to face Ballistics. Is there anything that BlossoM can really do? You were talking about map choices, maybe heading into a 2-lane map and try to shake things up a little that would leave us mid-Battlefield of Eternity, since there's basically a pact that Brax is not to be spoken about. Anything else that you feel they can do to maybe get the upper hand?
The thing is, there was one pattern in the draft of Tempest up to this point in the series, and that was banning out the Zeratul. So there seems to be something they know about that Wiz is either so good on that hero, or they feel very uncomfortable playing against it. So maybe just go first pick it. Maybe just go for the Hail Mary and try to put all your eggs in one basket, make Wiz shine, whatever, and go maybe for this infamous Wombo combo style. VP, followed up by a Ring of Frost, for example, or some of the other tools we've seen. Riptire.
A first pick Zeratul would definitely be a major wild card.
Yeah.
I think it's one that maybe they should find a different wild card than first picking the Zeratul, because that scares me a lot due to how many counters comes out. But I'm a similar mentality of what you're looking at here. We want something different from them for them to be effective. And it looks like we are going to BOE, actually. Yep. Tempest with the Battleground choice. This is probably one of the best possible scenarios here for BlossoM to get that victory if they're able to continue to throw a wrench in the plans and maybe adjust off Tempest. Because I think if they play straight up against Tempest, Tempest is looking too good against them.
Both of the teams have played twice on Battlefield of Eternity, and both of them have won one map and lost the other. So 50% win ratio for both of them. You've been talking about a 2-lane map. In this case, it's Tempest actually that picks the map, and that leaves us with first pick once again for BlossoM. But yeah, I'm really curious to see what they're going to do here. I feel like they need to change things up a bit. The first draft, it still doesn't really make very much sense. I like the aggression draft number 2, but they got really caught with their pants down after that boss marched straight through the keep into the core. And I hope that this time, maybe with the opening, maybe not banning out a Nubarak, maybe picking him even. They played it on this map. Yeah. Again, we talked about the problems that we had at the front line with Gonda trying to use the hero here. But maybe if he just focuses on it and they try to play that aggressive style with picking Nubarak themselves, that might be an option. But we, of course, know that for Tempest, it's also a high-priority pick, which is the main reason why BlossoM banned it in the first place.
And sometimes when you're struggling on a certain hero like Gondor did yesterday, you can actually take that one-day break in between. You can analyze what went wrong and maybe come back a little bit stronger than before. But yeah.
First ban Gazla. That's definitely
China's already out of the tournament, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's definitely a bit of that's a change that we've been looking for.
Yeah, that's definitely the adjustment that I was looking for. BlossoM has nailed it with this draft. I can't believe my mind is just blown. I need a nap actually after this ban.
Tempest did not expect that. It kind of.
I'm actually mesmerized. I'm just staring at the gas door.
Tempest, after losing on Battlefield of Eternity, the map that BlossoM used to turn the series around, we were so baffled by a Gazlo ban. We did not see it coming, and it shook our confidence.
Aww.
Yeah.
They get wet feet. They pull out the last second, so now their pants are down and they have wet feet. Nah, bad mix-up here for BlossoM. Malfurion will be banned out. Speaking of tanks that you were talking about earlier, something I wanted to bring up, and a Korean oldie, Muradin. Muradin could be good on this Battleground as well. It gives you the fight that you want, and also gives you the chance to have those stun combos in the boss.
What I really like about Muradin oftentimes on Battlegrounds like BOE, even on Braxis, although it's probably not going to get played this tournament, is the fact that he's got such good self-sustain. You actually relieve your support of, healing you all the time, because oftentimes you just go back, wait a little for the second wind to kick in, and then you come back rejuvenated. And also that time window oftentimes allows you to overpower your opponents when they have the warrior backing off.
Now, we've talked a little bit about adjustments, and outside of the warrior issue that you guys already addressed, we have now with the ban on Malfurion, I think a very nice adjustment on BlossoM's side, because I spoke earlier already about how Tempest just hasn't lost with Malfurion yet, and that is currently mirrored in his 6-0 track record. But the important thing to note is that throughout the entire tournament, Tempest lost 3 maps, and these are actually in 2 of those 3 maps they played, for example, Uther that they have now. So every single, these are the games that they actually can lose when they are forced into a different support, into a different playstyle. And that might be the one thing where BlossoM finally has cracked the code and said, okay, let's push them out of their comfort zone, let's take one of the key elements away and take it from there. And they go for an aggressive start here themselves with Genji. They have Thrall now for the potential Crash Lightning build, depending on how they lane at the beginning. And Tyrael also taken away from the Uther and Hanzo combo that was for a long time also prevalent in Europe.
And they have set themselves up very well for this Battleground. First off, they're all coming in there giving that poke damage that you want to stress out the Uther, as we were talking about in draft number 2. But also, Thrall's one of those heroes on BOE that I feel like puts you on a timer. You always are racing against that Crash Lightning, and it being very, very annoying. Now, it hasn't been too quickly done on this battleground, but I have seen faster Crash Lightning finishes around the level 12 or 13 mark. That could be really good here for BlossoM, especially if you're hitting Hanzo. Hanzo has a very low health bar. Uther as well, high cooldowns. If you're able to land those lightning strikes and consistently put your opponent at bay, that's when you open up the map for you to go for that immortal race or even get a kill. Yeah,
playing against Thrall oftentimes feels like Nazebo 2.0, where you really have to make sure you either win the game in the early game, you pressure Thrall enough so he can't get those stacks, or you're going to be in some serious trouble here. Once again, a Zeratul ban. It really seems to be just a go-to thing for Tempest right now, because Wiz's hero is probably still to be taken, although he could also hop in at Thrall, depending on how they want to play it.
Gasso being hovered here, multiple melees for BlossoM. If you ever have a Gravibomb combo, melees tend to get caught there. This is actually a really clever possible ban.
They already thought about banning him on the first spot, and then they just on the last moment switched over into Malfurion, but it was a close call on ban number 1 already, and now he's even more attractive on the second ban position, but Blaze just sneaking in just towards the end of that phase.
I like how you both can be like that without even trying to smirk or trying to smile. I really think all that time in HGC Europe has bonded you guys together into that.
Alex Proji has trained us well. That is for sure. I was about to follow up and be like, yeah, Sanification's a tool that Trial can use to stop that Gravibomb. Sunray can disrupt it. BlossoM decides to let it go through.
Did you see the Butcher tease, though?
I did see the Butcher tease as
I
well.
was actually sad that he didn't keep it up longer, because that would have made an amazing target point here. Alex was already clapping back home. Did you know that Alex is undefeated in Hero League with Butcher right now?
Yeah, because Hero League is definitely an indicator of what we're going to see in the future.
To be honest, Alex Hero League is an indicator of what we're going to see in the future in Europe.
That's step 1. Step 2 is like, hey team, can we do this? We're losing already. All right, well, pick number 3 and 4 coming in here. Typical pickups. You could see a Li Ming here. He's a little bit more poke-based. You could also go for a little bit more race potential, and they decided to do that. They bring in the Grey Mane. They get the Nubrak as well. Gives you a little control there with the Impales and the Burrow charges, and a Nubrak again, Cocoon, always strong.
Here's a question. With us talking already about how Tempest loves to play Nubrak, how they are 3-0 with the hero in the tournament here, would that have been the better second ban? Because Blaze is a fantastic ban, especially after the last game, but considering how consistently BlossoM was trying to get rid of Anubarak, it showed that they are really afraid of that aggressive Anubarak style. They had the chance of banning him out. Do you guys feel they should have banned out Anubarak over Blaze?
It depends on how much they're actually afraid of it. I mean, if you think about it, I'm down with you, Kaldor, by the way. I think Anubarak poses a more serious threat to a Genji, especially when if you want to make him shine. Also, he can really interrupt all of your follow-up combos after, let's say, a Sunring goes down, after a Genji pops in with a Dragon Blade. Although Blaze is scary foe to face, Anubarak is just a Tempest thing, man.
Yeah, if BlossoM is willing to move into a Kerazim or a Stukov, I don't mind them leaving the Nubrak up to be a bit more punishing when he goes in for the dives, or even to have a quick way to deal with that Cocoon that will be coming their way. They even move into a Li Ming, so we have a Li Ming and the Kerazim coming in for BlossoM, so now we have Hyper Aggression, and we have Disintegrate to get rid of Cocoon, so at least they have adjusted based on what Tempest has been showing, and also we're finally getting more mages in this tournament. Thank you, BlossoM.
Yeah, and they have a reset composition as well, so now we have Genji, Li Ming, a lot of aggression coming in. If they can also complete the quest with Thrall, if they go for it, we have seen slight deviations, but I would still expect it here, then they can really start poking and putting the pressure onto Uther in particular. So, aggressive setup. I like that a lot more than BlossoM trying to play a long macro game and some kind of ingenious macro strategy. So now they just have to find these kills, and that has to be the aggression against Hanzo and against Greymane.
Now the thing is, solo tank tier compositions are like a double-edged sword. They can either look really good if you manage to get that early game momentum, if you manage to get the double resets here, for example, but they can also look really terrible because you're lacking the CC, you're lacking the lockdown potential, and I think this is probably the main crux about BlossoM's team composition. And the Dehaka, actually a very exotic pick at this point, especially on BOE.
The interesting thing about I like the global aspect. I mean, in the days, I want to nearly say in the days of old, but let's say last year, we had a lot of Dehaka played on Battlefield, where the whole idea was you try to get level 10 first for the second Immortal, and then you move in and take the fight and get the drag. If you didn't manage to do that, you often times found him to be a liability in the later team fights when you posture around. But at this point, they have at least tools where they, with isolation, can once again pressure the melee assassins that can come in. I didn't expect them to go for Dehaka, but if they play it well, they can definitely get a lot of success with it. A good drag, a good isolation can really ruin the team fight abilities that BlossoM has.
I actually expected a Sonya there. If you think about it, there's not really a lot of interrupts available, with the exception of Sundering maybe. And Sonya posing that kill potential, posing that interception body they can use against Li Ming.
Old school Sonya, though, against Poke, if she's not able to find that engage that she wants, she falls off. If they want to go hard and go for elite combo, I'm all for it, but I think they want to play a little bit more of a trade-off here of presenting, okay, if you're going to poke us down, we're going to at least get experience for it. And that's what's going to happen here with the Dehaka as we head into game number 3. BlossoM on their tournament life here. If they lose, they're out.
Yeah, one more game is all it takes for them to go home to Korea and leave Tempest the ticket to make it to the lower bracket final, where they're going to then face Ballistics, who weren't able to overcome KSV Black earlier in the day. But we're going to find out what shall be the scenario. Are we going to go to a game 3, or is that going to be the end of the series?
We'll be keeping an eye on that Thrall. Wiz hoping to get that Crash Lightning stack up to 20 as quickly as possible to be quite annoying around the Immortal phase. Very easy to pull off too, especially when you get in that spot where you're trying to poke your opponent's Immortal. The Crash Lightning stacks peel off to the opposing heroes and eventually stress out the Uth there, as you were just mentioning. But for now, it's all about controlling the top lane as Dami and Lockdown work together to clear out that wave.
And this is already a different approach coming in from BlossoM here on BOE than I think it was actually Tempest yesterday, who turned it upside down, who was actually using Thrall in a solo lane, despite the fact that Crash Lightning was there. And then they had Genji leaning in the 4-man, getting reset after reset. The way BlossoM is playing it, Genji is kind of struggling from the fact that he's basically the one who's supposed to babysit Dehaka, keeping him hit check, and that doesn't really give them the early game pressure they could have otherwise established.
Yeah, babysit is definitely the good word there, because Genji's not going to kill on Dehaka in that bottom lane.
Exactly. Just try to contain the dinosaur.
Exactly. Just soak the experience, clear out that backline minions to make sure you don't take too much damage on turrets. That's all Genji has to do. But Tempest, realizing Genji is in the bottom lane and isn't going to be in a spot where Dehaka is going to get out-cleared by him, put Greymane in the bottom. They're going to start working on Merc camp to try to sneak it away here from Dudu.
Yeah, and BlossoM in the meanwhile is going for that Fallen Shaman camp already. Normally teams are trying to, you know, delay that a little bit longer and have the Fallen Shaman push while the Immortals are up, but I think BlossoM realizes that they were already too late on the rotation. There was no way they could have actually interrupted Greymane from taking this, so they're trying to get at least a little something done, trying to get a counterweight on that bottom lane as well to keep those Impalers contained a little bit.
Song playing with fire there, going forward for a couple of punches and realizes that Tempest has their own punch, turns around the stun, gets a couple of auto attacks in, and now Tempest with the Merc camp grabbed here towards the south will attempt to clear out this Goatman push that you typically see, and they might even be able to turn around and grab a turret.
Trick, this was one wasted Fallen Shaman camp. The Impalers are still alive. There was nothing that BlossoM could do to really relieve the pressure in time. And Nubarak, actually, we talked about this in the past a lot, using all the beetles, using his massive magic resistance as well to keep Li Ming's spells at bay. Doesn't really care about them too much. He's one tanky beetle. And now BlossoM, they realize, you know what the most likely move for Tempest is going to be next? They're probably going to want to try to get their own Shaman camp in. So they're trying to posture up, trying to keep the vision up for sure. And let's see when the camp is going to get taken after all. Yeah,
they're just coming over to make sure that nothing comes up to the top lane, because they don't have someone that clears it out too easily. Thrall struggles a little bit, especially with that wave coming in. Li Ming, if she peels off, suddenly isn't poking down Immortals. So it is actually imperative that Tempest does not get this Merc camp for them, so they can have a good start here on the first Immortal phase, which they will in about 4 seconds. Sign anchoring for his team as Tempest pushes in the bottom lane with Wiz doing his best to control the area. It's all about Immortals now as the poke will begin.
Lockdown missing a couple of those scatter arrows. Happens to the best of us, don't worry. But yeah, Hanzo's W build is of course going to be that decisive tool here. As cheeky tongue comes in there, stunning Gondar on that turtle, but actually BlossoM is doing way better than I anticipated when it comes to racing down those Angels.
Yeah, very quick here. Neck and neck between the two, about 400 health at best. Tempest setting up for their defense already as BlossoM comes into the top right corner. Hyde will be the focus for BlossoM. Can they get the reset?
Wow.
They get one. Can they get two? They get two. They're looking for a third as Dami is the next focus.
Dudu is absolutely tearing things apart here with his buddy in crime, Li Ming. They take down almost the entirety of Tempest. There goes a burrow. Good is in trouble. He keeps healing himself, though, thanks to the essence. But it is only Lockdown, the only survivor left to tell the tale of his fallen comrades.
And now if they leave one person here, Hanzo will be able to work on the Immortal, and BlossoM should be able to try and win it. In fact, Dudu comes in, and he gets his brother.
Me?
Hanzo is down.
I can't believe what my eyes are seeing here. BlossoM is actually racing ahead and away from from Tempest. This is exactly the playstyle they need to go for. They don't have the CC, so they need to circumvent their opponents. They need to flank them, use the mobility from Genji to catch on over and over again. Look at Genji's hero damage, actually over 9,000 already after only 4 minutes and 25.
I just pinched myself. We are not dreaming. This is actually happening. BlossoM getting the first Immortal, and we'll set up for a push toward the south side. And this is where actually Thrall is really annoying to deal with. With the Crash Lightning coming in, he can choose to put it on a turret, and the bounces go to the opposing heroes before you get those stacks coming in. And especially when you get post 20, that's where it gets really annoying. But the main issue is that you have to defend your Immortal, but you also want to deny stacks. It's a really hard scenario to be in.
And the Feral Resilience is a talent that I want to point out here on Thrall's build. It's a level 4 talent that is not commonly seen. Oftentimes you will see the mana regen and the cooldown reduction on that healing, but the Feral Resilience is so good against heroes like, let's say, Greymane or Hanzo, who are very dependent on their hard-hitting auto attacks. So after you land a Wolf, you're going to have 2 stacks of physical damage reduction, 50% less. Sign in the meantime, taking so much damage, the Beetle is about to fall. Look at all those juicy Chain Lightning stacks, Trixler.
You could tell Li Ming was feeling hungry too, wanting to go for that Calamity, get the kill on Sign, and then possibly start the reset chain that could have allowed for them to get another kill or 2 and then start to look at the fort. But Tempest is able to hold thanks to Uther bringing in the heals, Lockdown jumping over a turret, looking cool, but getting low on health.
Now, I think that at level 10, we may see a little bit of a change in pace here for Tempest in particular. They're going to have a couple of defensive tools available, Divine Shield, the Dragon's Arrow, to really keep that hyper-aggression from BlossoM in check. Up to this point, though, I'm loving what the underdog team is doing here. BlossoM, they're trying to not let go. Stack after stack is going to go in there for Thrall. Even you can see the follow-through. More auto-attack damage against squishy tank targets like that Anubarak.
Yeah, Tempest may intend to change up the momentum at level 10 or the tempo of the game, but BlossoM with Disintegrate coming in, Cocoon is going to be a non-factor here. Being able to burn that down, holding onto that heroic, will allow BlossoM to keep up with the speed that they've had this entire game. And that gets me excited here, because that means we might go to a game 4.
And that's the beauty of it, of course. Li Ming is the ideal counter. You hinted towards it. It's so good. Li Ming is normally so hard to catch for, and Anubarak as well. She's always in the back line. If you want to try to cocoon her so nobody can melt it, you're going to extend yourself, you're going to expose yourself so much to the enemy focus fire.
That's right. No mounting today. BlossoM working on their night camp on the left, Tempest working on their camp on the top right. It's all about getting to level 10 here. The Immortals will be spawning, so Tempest has a decision to make. Do they want to push forward, try and burn the Immortal down as quickly as possible, or do they want to try and soak and get towards 10? The correct choice for them right now seems to be dealing with the Immortal and getting down to the halftime show, but they have to be careful. If BlossoM finds a kill or finds experience inside, they'll have their 10 and force a fight.
This is all that Tempest wanted to achieve, like bringing the enemy Immortal down to roughly 50%, right? So it's going to be a lot easier for them to deal with it afterwards. Now they're going to try to take care of the Fallen Shaman and just keep the soaking coming in there as well. Dehaka in the top lane. And BlossoM, man, they're just in the driver's seat. They can now take those heroic abilities. Let's see what it's going to be. Sunder, there we go. Disintegrate makes sense against Cocoon. Sanctification. I could have actually seen a Judgment there as well, because who's really going to be in the Judgment for the most part? And now you have a potential misplay possibility there with a Palm, right, if it overlaps, but I think it's still a solid choice.
Sanctification, I think, is the way to go. With Cleanse and Divine Shield being on the opposing side, it's a little too difficult to be able to get that engaged, but if you ever do want to mix it up, it's definitely something that if you just throw a random chain into your opponent, maybe you can throw them there. But with BlossoM being down 0-2, looks like they're going to stick with the typical pickups, grab the Sanctification, as BlossoM and crew will have a push in the top lane. Now, Tempest, they knew they were going to lose out on this Immortal exchange. They went and grabbed the Night Camp to the bottom, allows Dehaka to push in a little bit more, so Thrall's forced to be in a spot to defend that. And BlossoM will now poke safely as they wait, as Tempest does have a really good engage. Being able to go for the Dragon's Arrow, and now the Cocoon that's gotten picked up, can be difficult for BlossoM to deal with if they are not in the right position.
And Genji is still holding on to his heroic ability choice. We just saw Rich there in the previous series, getting all that value from an X-Strike. X-Strike is no meme ability. It's definitely worth it if there is so much potential lockdown, if you want to overextend even more, to use the ability to get out, or just finish a target right off.
Yeah, you go from being in a Genji that's trying to get those kills to being a Genji that's annoying, which is something that X-Strike allows you to do. You can't lock him down. You're spending resources trying to lock him down. Suddenly you have a Li Ming and a Thrall poking you. It gets really frustrating to deal with. BlossoM, speaking of being frustrating, goes straight towards the south. They break down a fort easily here, as Good has no options to really defend this.
Yeah, Good seems a little bit unimpactful up to this point. Calder was hinting towards the Dehaka being picked much more regularly in a couple of months ago when it was more in meta. Up to this point, I have yet to see a Dehaka moment where I'm like, that validates, that justifies the pick here. It's a small map. There's a couple of brushes where he can potentially flank from, but it's going to be a hard race. It's going to be a hard game for good.
Yeah, and BlossoM has a lot of resources available to make it hard for Dehaka to be effective. Even if he comes in from a broad shock and goes for a drag, Karazim can dash away. Li Ming can teleport. Tyrael, Elf Druid, Genji jumps across the map. Thrall is the only target that he can maybe try to grab there, but you're going to have a follow-up from one of his teammates no matter what, and Thrall's going to be in a position
Same goes for the
poking.
isolation. Like,
yeah.
if you miss that one, such a powerful tool is already gone for the following team fight.
Very, very true, but if he's able to land it, that's where things change around. So it's all going to come down to good and see how good his Dehaka is. Lockdown, taking some poke, it's a heal from Hyde, but it's immortal time.
It is immortal time indeed. 15 seconds until those powerful behemoths are going to descend down from the heavens. Now, Lockdown, he took a lot of damage. I was actually anxious for Thrall to maybe use the Sundering there. He was already below 50%, but they didn't pull the trigger just yet. You want to save all those cooldowns for the real fight,
Arrow,
which could start here. Good is on the chase, healing so much.
The song wasn't close enough, unable to jump in and save Genji, and the Cocoon to follow up. Tempest is looking to win this team fight. An immediate drag right from good. The bomb comes out. Will we get the certification? No, too many interrupts, and BlossoM is now down 2.
Wow, that is so unfortunate for them. They were not able to save either Tyrael or Genji. He didn't even get the chance to pick the X-Strike, which could have been his ticket to freedom here. For now, Tempest destroying BlossoM. It's a triple kill, baby. They're trying to take down the Blue Immortal as quickly as possible. And with Hanzo in the mix and Greymane auto attacks, that's going to be a piece of cake.
Massive shout out to Lockdown. Getting that Dragon's Arrow on top of a Genji is actually a very difficult task. The hitbox and the initial impact is actually quite little. Being able to land Genji, who's a small hitbox himself, is a marvel in the matter. So great play there by Tempest. Lockdown being able to grab that engage. And something to note as well, BlossoM has yet to pick their heroic for Genji. The Immortals now down at the halftime show as Tempest is in the lead. BlossoM looks to defend.
Yeah, and as long as you don't have your level 10, you can pick a 13. So Genji is now running out of time here to really make something happen. He's going to have lightning speed reflexes to really lock in those bam bam points. Otherwise, I think the next team fight might not really go that well for him either.
Well, watching down here
Dragon
on the
Blade.
south as Tempest comes in for a little bit of poke with good missing on the battleground. BlossoM is playing a little timid, as they should. Not knowing where Dehaka is can be kind of a scary moment. Hyde gets caught here with the Holy Grail on the left into a Sundering, and Uther falls. So there's a reset. Will we have another engage from BlossoM? They continue to poke as they turn towards good.
Dehaka is too tanky, though. He's getting the 15 armor as well from the Uther.
Where's the wolf?
Here goes the Cocoon. Genji still. The interrupt on that Disintegrate. So huge. But Tempest, they get out to safety. They're not going to fall to the constant combo reset here going on from BlossoM. So this was okay. They salvaged and handled the situation pretty much okay.
But the Essence was used on Dehaka, meaning that with him not having the Essence available, that burst becomes a little bit more scary if BlossoM can find that pick. We're going to have BlossoM immediately turn around towards the Immortal, and for the third time in this game, they will win the Immortal phase.
For a moment, I was getting a little bit anxious there, Trixler, because the blue health bar on that Immortal was dropping so rapidly. Man. That would have been a great steal for them to buy a little bit more time. But as it is, both teams almost completely even in terms of overall experience. Both teams are sitting at level 14. The Immortal is going to be there. Not really the strongest one I've ever seen, but hey, what are you going to do? Better than giving it to the enemy, right?
In the words of one of my favorite developers, Centauric, when it comes to this battleground, Hanzo is so hot right now. He drops all that damage in with the scatter arrow. Gets it pretty darn low, but it wasn't enough here. BlossoM pushing it towards the keep. Now, the good news for Tempest is this is going to be a melee range, right? Much easier to defend. You're going to be having the scatter arrows popping out. Damian's will on that Greymane will be a bit of a threat, but you have to watch out. Holy Ground.
And Holy Ground is going to be a really crucial ability to be on the look for. Now Tyrael can actually lock in people, something he couldn't really do before. I'm also curious to see how many stacks Thrall has, because now what he can do after 20 stacks of Crash Lightning, where the bouncing lightnings will always prioritize enemy heroes instead of minions or buildings, he can just land it on a building. He doesn't even have to expose himself anymore just to hit it onto enemy heroes, and that's going to be such a consistent, reliable poking tool when it comes to pushing with those Immortals.
Yeah, that's that timer that Thrall puts you on, and it's definitely going to be coming into effect pretty soon here if Thrall is able to finish up that level 1 quest. I haven't seen it pop yet, but I'm assuming he's getting close. It's pretty easy to end on BOE. BlossoM now, as they head towards the south side, are working towards their level 16, and they did catch wind of Tempest heading towards the top, meaning they're going to go for an exchange on the bottom lane. Look to grab the minion wave and maybe think about moving in for a keep.
Yeah,
oh, they pull back, actually.
Yeah, they pull back. They realized that there could have been a push going on here from BlossoM, but they were also aware of the fact that the Fallen Shaman camp is still ready. So depending on where they show themselves next, they're going to adjust their battle plans. I like what Dehaka was trying to do there as well. You have these sneaky alleys at the top side of the map where you can sometimes hide in, go back into the lane to keep the pressure up. So BlossoM is doing a good job keeping this top lane under control, destroying the minion waves and making sure that there is no backdoor that they have to worry about from Dehaka.
Every sliver of experience matters too, and
Looking good, he's just hiding.
16. Yeah, he has to. I mean, that's one of the cool things about playing in Dehaka as well. Having that trait being available and you get that moon speed, sitting in the bush is a completely fine play. Sometimes the best play is to do nothing out of Dehaka. All you gotta do is get vision on your opponents and suck the experience, and he's playing that well.
All right, bottom camp is being dealt with by Tempest right now. 16 is around the corner as well. We see the Heroic Forging coming in for Tyrael. That means more holy grounding. That means more locking in as well. 19 stacks, by the way, on Thrall.
Uno more, and he'll have his quest done. And should be able to get it here soon. Wiz already stepping forward with Modern to help out as they lead the charge with the bottom lane pushing in too. Tempest is in a bit of a weird position. Luckily they have a Dehaka to help out, but BlossoM takes the time to race down the Immortal, and they chunk quickly.
Yeah, they have so much damage available. I can't actually believe that Tempest was so late to the party there. The blue health bar on the Immortal didn't move for quite some time. I'm not sure if they were scouting the perimeter to just make sure there were no cheeky ambushes going on, but as it is once again Tempest who's forced to defend.
One of those times where being late is not fashionable. Tempest now in a position where they have to force a fight. Eldruin down to Holy Ground. Keeps Stein back on that top right corner, but Tempest is defending on their Immortal.
Oh, that was such a cool thing on the Holy Ground. We're going to talk about this after because I think the heat is about to turn up. And Nubrak already, the arrow completely whiffing. That Sanctification was so huge.
That arrow was just barely off on timing. He was trying to land it when the Sanctification expired, so he could have hit multiple members and allowed for his team to go in for the fight, but he was just off barely by that timing. That was a second away from being PogChamp. Seriously, it was very close, but Lockdown unable to land it, and now a pretty big Immortal will be pushing on the bottom lane.
To be honest, that was an angelic PogChamp there for Gondar, and we talked about this guy struggling so hard in this tournament. I think that was hands down his best moment there, securing a late game Immortal, preventing all that AoE damage, Lockdown coming in from Hanzo. That was a masterclass play.
Yeah, and that comes down to Song too, and empowering him. Being able to drop the cleanse after the drag came out on top of that Tyrael allowed for him to use that Sanctification. It's a good teamwork from BlossoM. Wiz is the focus, and Wiz doesn't even have a chance. He still has Sunring up. He gets completely annihilated.
And this is exactly what they were trying to go for here. Tempest eliminating one of the most lethal heroes in the enemy roster here. Wiz says goodbye, or has to say goodbye there, and that is an easy defense. Tempest, for some reason, some way, somehow, they managed to stay in the game by just picture-perfect, crisp engagement on a target that was going a little bit too far in.
That has always been the case of Tempest in 2018. Bend, don't break. We keep saying it over and over again, but it's a perfect caption of who they are as a team. An arrow from across the map. Sign comes in, drops down the Impale. Karazine's able to back out, but Tempest, they're starting to feel themselves a little bit. They're trying to force these fights.
Yeah, and Nasang here, by the way, has a really solid tool to deal with all those CC. He has the cleansing touch at level 16. Oftentimes we see the Way of the 100 Fists trying to go for a little bit of backline diving, but no, he realizes we need to keep those Dragon's arrows in check. We need to Uther the Nubrak. There's just so much lockdown potential. I like this adaptation coming in from the Kharazim here.
Yeah, I forgot Kharazim as a support. I've seen so much damage assassin Kharazim that I'm a little thrown off, but it's definitely paying off here for BlossoM. 15 seconds for that Disintegrate, but a Cocoon is up available for Tempest if they're able to force a fight. Maybe they can find that pickoff, but Li Ming will have that up soon and ready. So it looks like the next important part of this game here is that Immortal. If this Immortal can be won by Tempest, they have hung on well enough to be able to put themselves on a spot to try and break down their opponent's fort and eventually a keep.
And here goes the timer. Ladies and gentlemen, 25 seconds left until we're probably going to see a keep fall one way or the other. There are so many naked lanes already that only have the keeps left standing there, especially Tempest are kind of with their backs against the wall here if they want to stay in the game. 10 seconds left. The Fallen Shaman camp at the top lane is a nice distraction for Tempest to capitalize on. They are actually forcing BlossoM to deal with it. Otherwise, Dehaka could have actually reinforced there, coming in with a cheeky Brush Stalker. I like this move, and this could be the cheeky little advantage advantage that Tempest needs.
Yep, Tempest so far has been a recoiled rattlesnake, and now it is time to strike. They go straight for the Immortal, and they start to work on burning it down. BlossoM has to respawn and come in for defense, but the thing is now Tempest is in a great spot of control. Being able to have lockdown, bounce off a couple of scatter arrows like that will allow for them to start the halftime show, and now they're in a commanding lead.
Yeah, this is huge. This is so huge. Now Tempest can go for 2 routes. They can try to chip it down slowly but surely with all that poke from Hanzo, or they can even go top and pressure the tower line.
They can peel off Dehaka now.
Yeah.
They're in control. They have
Absolutely.
the ability to scout out their opponent with Hanzo and know when a fight is coming their way. And if a new rack plays safe and doesn't overstep, they should be able to have a front line that controls the push coming in from BlossoM. Dehaka is actually sitting in the middle of the map right now,
waiting for a good
hiding.
angle. Yeah, he's waiting for a good angle to engage from. I think they're trying to wake the impression of Dehaka already making his way to one of the side lanes, but no, they're trying to actually go for that team fight. Now Dehaka has moved out of the base. He's slowly marching in forward, going for the bottom lane, trying to soak a little bit more. Hanzo, in the meantime, could use those scattering arrows, not just to damage the Immortal, but also to scout the perimeter. They need to know exactly where that double reset comp is going to come from.
Yeah, the most important person to watch out for here is Tyrael. You don't want to get locked down in a holy ground, and if you're Hanzo, you want to be near a wall so you can use that natural agility to jump away. Tempest continues to poke in. Dehaka has yet to show himself on the map still. BlossoM steps forward, trying to dare him to come in.
Yeah, Dehaka doesn't want to show himself too early. If he fights the mercenaries, then BlossoM knows this could be the time to throw in that Sun Ring to really follow up with a holy ground and just make things happen. Tempest, they're trying to delay as much as possible. Genji actually keeping Dehaka busy, almost chunking him down here single-handedly. Doo-doo, please.
Yeah, good walked into that minion way, trying to clear it up with that Dark Swarm being available, and sadly took a lot of damage from the minions, and then Genji at the same time. That's actually a bit of a crutch here for Tempest, especially if he uses his essence.
Yeah.
He'll have to come back and finally start to defend that push coming into the keep, but now they're in a spot where they're in check. BlossoM steps up, and they go straight for the Immortal. The Dragon's Arrow came out, as you mentioned, as well as the Sundering.
Divine Shield is here. Greymane wants to go for a bite here. Doesn't get to do so up to this point. The poke is real. Every channel of that chain lightning is crackling down like a truck here. And Tempest, although they were leading so much in the early phase of that Immortal race, they're actually getting pushed back over and over. 15.5 to 16k now on that Immortal health.
This is neck and neck. Finally a little bit more of a lead here for Tempest. But remember, they started with a half-level Immortal lead over their opponents.
This is crazy.
BlossoM has fought back. They are holding themselves against Tempest. They go for Dami. Dami gets low. There's the Dragon Blade, and Greymane is down.
Greymane is down. The resets are going one after the other. Genji is slicing his way through the enemy lines. Tempest is getting absolutely shut down. No member left with the exception of Uther. He can't defend this, and I think BlossoM may have done the impossible. They're trying to end this game. They're trying to seal the deal right here, right now. 20s at their side. The keep is very low. Tyrael can tank that easy peasy lemon squeezy. And Trixler, we have a series in our hands.
That we do. BlossoM, after a strong early game, controlling decently in the middle game, and fighting back in the last Immortal phase, are able to win a team fight. Doo-doo bringing out the Dragon Blade after a massive leaning combo, able to set up 4 kills against Tempest, and BlossoM gets their first win in the series and goes to a game number 4.
Wow. If you had told me there that Tempest would lose this Immortal just like that after chunking it down to 50% without really any defense coming in from BlossoM, I would have called you a lunatic, but they played it so well, Calder. All that poke, all the reset value, patiently waiting until the Divine Shield was on cooldown, then they snapped it in and won the team fight.
Confirming the kills definitely played a huge role here, and we come back to the draft, and I actually have to ask once more, is it really Malfurion that was that stable so much for Tempest the entire time, and now that he's taken away, they struggle? In the regular season, I mean, we have seen changes in patches since then, but back then for Tempest, what we had most of the time were Uther, were Rhaegar. They were very successful with this. But at the tournament here, whenever Malfurion is taken away from them, they seem to have a much harder time of confirming these wins, and we could see that in the last one as well.
Yeah, Malfurion, the lack of Malfurion rather was a big turning point because the playstyle is a completely different one. With Uther, you have to have your cooldowns ready at all times, and you mentioned that as well, Trixel, during the draft. That Thrall poke, it really caused so much headaches to Tempest there as well. And if Uther doesn't really pay attention on when he used the heals or when he used the Divine Shields, then you know what? All of a sudden, Genji and Ling, they're going to step forward and they're going to be like, ha, now is our time to shine.
Especially when they come in and they commit like they did on the top right on that Greymane that eventually got picked off. And once you pick one person off on the opposing team, the floodgates are open. And BlossoM were able to show that. And you gotta love seeing that from this team, man. Being able to hang out with Tempest towards the late game, get a win on them, they're definitely contending today.
Karazim also played a really huge role in this, since as they need the resets, they start with poke and then they always commit to one single target.
Yeah.
And you could see Karazim leading the charge, putting the pressure on, then Li Ming from the backline can, after the combo, use Disintegrate, just trying to put a bit more damage in. That's what happened in that last team fight. It really just started off with this one single kill, and then both Genji and Li Ming just absolutely pop off and take everybody down, as Thrall is still providing the poke with the Chain Lightning. It's really difficult for Tempest to break through that. And I'm really interested to see how the next draft is going to shape up, because I really like that approach that BlossoM had, starting to take Malfurion away, take it from there. They even broke through the win streak that Tempest had with Nubia.
And you know what? The two scapegoats that we oftentimes mentioned in the lineup of BlossoM, Dansang on the support and Gondor on the tank, I think they were the two pillars, the two shining stars in the matchup. We saw that beautiful sanctification. We saw the cleansing touches coming in from Karazim over and over again. What do you have to say about their performance this time?
I mean, they definitely delivered on
They
there.
delivered super hard.
The drag on Tyrael on that bottom left part of the Immortal was a spot where Tyrael, if that drag fully went through the exact duration of the drag coming out, would have been a kill on that Tyrael. But a song coming in, being able to drop down that cleanse and allow for Tyrael to drop signification that you keep alluding to, allowed for them to win that team fight. And eventually, as mentioned by Kalidor, when we got to the fight where we tried to focus down a target, Karazim leading the charge, allowed for them to get those kills. So the team definitely coming together with these offbeat picks.
And now the next map is Volskaya, and BlossoM has map choice. So in this case, we actually saw Tempest go for